dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Questions are being asked concerning the booster shot and a third COVID-19 vaccine dose. Two lists are available to the public on those eligible to get which vaccines, but what's the difference between both lists and what's the difference between both doses? WYMT's Alyssa Williams talked to several medical workers to find the answers you might be asking.
Earlier this month, the CDC released a list of eligible candidates for the Pfizer COVID-19 booster dose, as well as those who are eligible for a third Pfizer vaccine dose.
The vaccines have been studied. We're seeing that there has been two things that have been recommended recently. One is a third shot and another is a booster shot. And these are for individuals who have taken the Pfizer vaccine. We only have recommendations on Pfizer at this moment.
The Pfizer booster dose is recommended for a broader spectrum of people. This includes those older than 65 years of age, long-term care residents and staff, those 18 and older with underlying health conditions, and a few others who are 6 months out from their second shot. However, there are more specific guidelines for those who are eligible for a third dose of the Pfizer vaccine.
And the third shot of Pfizer is for individuals who their level of immunity has not risen to the level that they would hope to see with the first two vaccinations.
This includes immunocompromised individuals who have had organ transplants, those undergoing chemotherapy for cancer, and those with other autoimmune disorders who are 28 days out from their second vaccination dose. Healthcare workers like Dr. Jones at Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky is hopeful the other vaccine manufacturers will decide to administer booster vaccines sooner rather than later.
I think that probably before the end of the year that we'll have some recommendations on the Moderna vaccine and other vaccines.
Helping to inform one another on the methods available to further combat COVID-19. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, Public Health Director at the Kentucky River District Health Department, Scott Lockhart, says their facility will be administering the Pfizer booster shot beginning Monday. It's not been determined how often people might need to receive the Pfizer booster dose. CDC officials say urgent action is needed to increase COVID-19 vaccinations among women who are or were recently pregnant. CDC researchers say only 31% of pregnant people are vaccinated against COVID. For the first time in months, CDC researchers are predicting new deaths from COVID-19, though, will likely decrease in the next 4 weeks. A Lincoln County man is being charged with child sexual exploitation offenses. The undercover Internet Crimes Against Children investigation led to the arrest of 45-year-old Joey Lee Wardle. The investigation began after discovering Wardle had uploaded pictures of children online. Equipment used by Wardle was taken due to a search warrant on May 13th. Wardle is being held at the Pulaski County Detention Center. In Madison County, Richmond police are looking for a theft suspect. Take a look. Surveillance video shows this man walk onto someone's porch and take off with a child's bike. He was wearing what looks like a white cap and a maroon jersey. The bike was a red and black mongoose. Police say they would like to find the suspect and return the bike to the child. Western Kentucky University is also seeing its share of bike thefts. Officials say they see daily reports of stolen bikes all over campus. The WKU Police Department says they are following up on some leads, but for now they are posting tips to help students prevent future bike thefts.
We're recommending to use the U-bolt locking devices and make sure that the students use the U-bolt locks and go through the frame of the bike and attach it with the bike rack instead of just putting it through the wheel.
Police say a total of 12 bikes have been stolen since August, 5 in August and 7 in September.
Hey, beautiful afternoon. The third one in a row in the mountains. We've had beautiful weather all 3 days so far this week. and we got a couple more on the way to finish out the work week. I-75 at Mount Vernon, just a few of those fair weather clouds out there. Otherwise, blue sky. Smooth traffic on Interstate 75 this afternoon. A couple of fair weather clouds out at Buffalo Mountain as well, sitting at 81. Notice that sun creeping ever closer to the horizon as the sun sets this evening. Low 80s for most of us out there. A couple upper 70s still in the Big Sandy. Prestonsburg and Pikeville sitting at 78, but most of the rest of us, well, up into the 80s. Feels pretty nice outside, especially in the shade. Dew points out there, well, they're a little elevated for this time of year in those low to middle 60s, so you will kind of feel a little mugginess as you walk outside, but it's not off the charts by any means. Satellite and radar, yeah, it's in motion. We just haven't seen a ton today. We had a few not even showers, a few clouds in the Big Sandy earlier, but those have moved on and sunshine remains as we head through the evening hours, at least while the sun's still up. Keep that WYMT weather app handy because we will be dealing with those temperatures falling back into the 60s by the time we head to bed. And by the time we wake up in the morning, we'll be back in the upper 50s. But don't worry, we have more beautiful weather on the way to finish up the work week. And I'll have the details on that coming up in just a bit. Steve?
All right. Thank you, Evan. The results of Kentucky's standardized tests are in. This year, education officials say they give us a snapshot of the toll the pandemic had on learning. Shelby Lofton talked to experts who say context is key to understanding what the scores mean.
It's no secret most students did not excel in their studies during the pandemic.
Educators and families did all they knew to do through the first year of the pandemic.
The state's test results are in. Leaders say it's no surprise that scores took a dip this year.
1 year doesn't make a trend. We're really going to have to see what happens over time.
The Kentucky Summative Assessment, formerly known as K-Prep, showed less than 40% of elementary students scored proficient or distinguished in reading. Less than 30% of middle schoolers scored that high in math, and the average ACT composite score dropped by a point.
They are a call to action for our communities as part of our school districts and our system of education.
Beyond math and reading, students were asked to rate their virtual learning experience. The majority of students agreed with the statement, "My teachers were available when I needed help."
We really need school districts and communities thinking about innovations.
Blom and Glass agreed that this school year is anything but normal.
We should be clear-eyed that this is not something that we're likely to be able to fix in a few months or even perhaps in a year.
This test can determine what to focus on for the future. In Lexington, Shelby Lofton, WKYT.
More than 329,000 students were tested. With new infrastructure plans being debated, how will this help support education systems in rural areas, much like our own? Education Secretary Miguel Cardona discussed budget and infrastructure negotiations this morning. He touched base on how he visited schools in rural areas and noticed the lack of access to broadband internet for students.
So it's really important that we prioritize our rural communities to make sure that we're listening to what their needs are. This agenda moving forward does that. It provides not only support for the infrastructure to make sure that the students in rural communities get the same level of support and education as others if they have to go remote, but also making sure that their schools have qualified teachers.
Secretary Cardona goes on to share that the bill could help fix the teacher shortage as well. Today marks the 20th anniversary of the Fallen Firefighter Memorial in Frankfort. This morning, firefighters from across the Commonwealth gathered to honor the lives lost and add 14 new names to the memorial. Governor Andy Beshear spoke about the bravery of firefighters.
To the families and friends of these brave souls, I offer my sincerest condolences. Please know that this wall ensures that they will never be forgotten.
Speaker said that they hope one day they won't have to add any new names to the memorial, but until that day comes, they'll continue to honor the memory of their fallen brothers and sisters. A team project by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet successfully designed a bridge that is proven to help with an endangered species of bats. A team went out to inspect a bridge to repair much needed damage, only to discover that gray bats had made a home within the cracks and crevices. The team then went on to repair the bridge with as little disturbance to the bats as possible.
And it's nice to be able to help an imperiled species of bat that is heavily affected by construction, human interaction, as well as white nose syndrome as well. So it's great to be able to aid in that.
Due to the safety of the endangered gray bats, the location of the bridge will not be shared. The repair construction took nearly 2 months to complete. It is estimated that there are close to 400 bats living within the bridge. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, we'll tell you how the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team is feeling after winning a new vehicle yesterday.
And a bit of a late summer feel out there. I'll break down how long we look to feel like early May rather than late September coming up.